By the night of October 17, 1998, he had already played 17 major league seasons. He had already won more batting titles than anybody except Ty Cobb and Hannes Wagner. The last year he had not hit 300 was 1982. By the night of October 17, 1998, he had already been to the World Series once and to the All-Star game 14 times. He had already hit so well for so long that when he shocked his admirers earlier that year with the first 0 for 15 hitless streak of his career, the Dodgers broadcaster Ross Porter calculated that he could extend that streak to 0 for 1,109 and still have a career average of 300. He was about to bat 500 in his second World Series, about to hit a two-run homer in the first game, and then a two-run single in the third game that gave his team its only leads of the series. And with all that, Anthony Keith Gwynn was still nervous and excited. You're telling me I'm going to get to meet Bob Sheppard, the Bob Sheppard? Oh, man. As the 1998 World Series between Tony's Padres and the Yankees neared, he had said something about how much he was looking forward to finally getting to play at Yankee Stadium, about how hearing the legendary public address announcer Bob Sheppard introduce him as he came to bat for the first time in Game 1, how that was going to be one of the thrills of his career. He was absolutely serious. So I took it a step further. I explained to Mr. Sheppard that the star of the Padres was a huge fan of his, a huge fan of baseball history, the one man I had ever met in the game who seemed genuinely awestruck by people whose greatness or whose prominence he had far since eclipsed. Bob said, "Take me to him." Look at that picture. Look at Tony Gwynn beaming. They talked, he and Bob Sheppard, as I remember it, for 10 or 15 minutes. Tony Gwynn sprayed questions like he sprayed base hits. Do you get nervous? What do you do to stay focused? I know you're a teacher. What do you try to convey to your kids? Look at him beaming. I walked Mr. Sheppard back up to the press box, and en route I asked him for another favor. And at some point after that all too brief series ended, I heard from Tony Gwynn. You kidding me? How'd you do this? I'd gotten Bob Sheppard to record the intro. Now batting for San Diego, the right fielder, number 19, Tony Gwynn, number 19. I stuck the thing onto one of those talking photo frame devices. I slipped in the photo of Tony with Bob you just saw, and I sent it to Tony. It's in my trophy case, he giggled. I put it next to my silver bats. I keep pushing play. I'm going to wear the thing out. I told him I had another copy just in case. But wait a minute, I said. You put it next to your silver bats? Yeah, what they give you for leading the league. This is the coolest thing. I even tried to say it along with him. That was Tony Gwynn. Was. He lived so much in the moment that it is impossible to think of him in the past tense, more than impossible, almost cruel. But as you know, Tony Gwynn died today, just 5 weeks after his 54th birthday, just a week after what we now know was a gesture of support and love to him and his family, the extension of his contract as the head baseball coach at his alma mater, San Diego State. He died after long and hard chemotherapy for his latest battle with cancer, a battle he wanted to keep largely private and through which he wanted to keep uncomplaining and supportive. His statistics are extraordinary. He came to bat 10,232 times in the majors. He struck out 4.2% of the time. He hit .338, and without once clearing 20 homers in a season, he slugged .459. And he hit .300 every year for 19 straight years from the time he was skinny and could also steal 56 bases in a season till the time he wasn't and he couldn't. But this isn't about his numbers. This is about him. You already know the story of Ted Williams and Tony Gwynn, of years of conversations between two San Diego guys who just happened to have the two highest career batting averages since 1939. It all culminated at the 1999 All-Star Game in Boston, when it was, in part to see Tony Gwynn, that Ted Williams even went to Fenway Park and created a baseball history moment to transcend all the others, when he was engulfed by the present-day stars and basically they would not let him leave the field. I was the pregame host and the National League dugout reporter for the Fox broadcast of that All-Star game. So when Tony Gwynn bounded back from the eternal love fest, he found me. Did you see that? He had to give somebody a hug. It was me. Did you see that? That was us with Ted Williams. He didn't just treat the greats that way, too. In spring training 1987, I was covering the Angels for my local station in Los Angeles. I have to say I was pretty good at it. But I could sit around the Gene Autry Hotel in Palm Springs, California for hours at a time without anybody else knowing about it. And one afternoon, the Padres arrived, staying at the hotel, came in on the the 310 from Yuma or something, and stomped past the pool on the way to their rooms, and I saw Tony Gwynn, who at that point already had one of his batting championships and one of his World Series trips and 3 of his All-Star games. I saw him peel away from the crowd and walk towards me. "Hi," he said tentatively. "Mr. Olbermann, my name's Tony Gwynn. I play for the Padres. I watch you on Channel 5 every night. This is an honor." I actually laughed. I know you're kidding, Mr. Gwynn, but thanks." He wasn't kidding. I had to ask him to stop calling me Mr. Later, he would call me Mr. just to needle me. You don't have to have had the privilege of knowing him to be heartbroken right now. What you hoped Tony Gwynn was like, he was like. And I haven't even gotten into the charitable work, the health awareness about smokeless tobacco and deep vein thrombosis, the fact that he stayed in San Diego when the bigger stages beckoned. I doubt anybody in baseball history ever handed out more respect, and this is an odd thing in sports, I doubt anybody in baseball history ever handed out more reassurance. When he hit that batting slump in the summer of 1998, it was nothing. He would hit higher in 1999 and 2000 and 2001. When this happened, I did a piece on him for Sports Illustrated about giving out reassurance. I want to read just the end of the piece. "When I saw Gwynn in the dugout at Dodger Stadium, he was holding a small metallic device in one hand, so I asked him about the hamstring he had aggravated reaching for Cal Ripken's double at the All-Star game. I pointed at the machine and asked, 'Is that your electric stimulator? Is that your stim?' Gwynn laughed hard. 'No, man, that's my mini CD player. Will you relax?' What I would not give to have him reassuring me that I'm overreacting right now. What all of us who knew him or just knew of him would not give to hear him laugh right now and say, 'Will you relax?'